Welcome back, I'm your favorite dysfunctional scientist, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my field. I study host pathogen evolution and viral evolution, and a big part of it are symbionts. You may have heard the recent news that a nitroplast was discovered, and maybe you didn't understand why that's so significant. It's an endosymbiont, something that used to be a free-living critter and now lives inside of a cell. This is talked about a lot with the origin of multicellular life, and I actually do not believe that that is the origin of multicellular life. I actually think that's a social amoeba. Basically acts like a part-time animal, and we can talk about that specifically. But I do want to talk to you guys about the origin of life on Earth. Algae and plants get a lot of credit for having caused the great oxygenation event, which was necessary for life to be as complex as it is, but not a lot of people talk about nitrogen. On early Earth, usable oxygen and usable nitrogen were in short supply. The necessary molecules for life as we know it on our planet are nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Hydrogen is forgotten a lot, as is sulfur. Although 70% of our atmosphere is made up of nitrogen, it is not usable to any life, unless you are a bacteria. It has to be fixed into something we like to call reactive nitrogen, something that you can incorporate into your body. The fixing process is largely done by symbiotic bacteria called rhizobia. Rhizobia can actually live in symbiosis inside of plant roots, forming these weird little things called nodules. No one's entirely sure why they bother to fix nitrogen for the plant, and that's a big part of my research. I have some theories. One of the reasons that nitroplasts were quite so important is because they are essentially rhizobia. Once you enter symbiosis with another critter, you can eventually lose enough of your genome that you can no longer live independently, and it seems that that happened with algae and a rhizobia. Now, algae blooms can be really, really bad, and they essentially happen because of agricultural runoff with nitrogen. Rather than utilize the nitrogen that's, already on Earth, humans have decided to double the nitrogen inputs into the environment with the Haber-Bosch process. It causes algae blooms, and algae can cause neurological conditions. Red algae, technically not a cyanobacteria, can also cause neurological conditions, although do I really have to tell you that getting in red water is bad? Don't do it. But also don't get into green water. If you see green water, it may be a blue-green algae, and likely is. Turns out algae has been highly linked to ALS. So significantly, in fact, even living near a body of water can increase your risk of getting ALS. Same thing Stephen Hawking had. This may be what is causing neurological diseases in Florida's big cats. Pets can also get toxicity from algae. How do you prevent algae blooms? Well, you kind of want to stop dumping large amounts of fertilizer into crops, because 70% of it doesn't end up in plant biomass, it ends up in the air and the water, and then we get algae blooms. Crops like corn and wheat make up most of our diets, and make up most diets worldwide need a lot of nitrogen, but there is an alternative. There is actually a species of nitrogen-fixing corn. It's kind of hard to grow, so scientists have been trying to engineer other varieties of corn to have it, and maybe even things like wheat. That may seem far-fetched, but someone put a chloroplast inside of a hamster cell. Can you have a photosynthetic hamster? Not just yet. Also, why would you want one? One of the major limitations with trying to make these kinds of Frankenstein's monster-type organisms is you actually have a lot of genes in your genome which support things like mitochondria, or plants supporting things like mitochondria and chloroplasts. Yes, plants have both. Plus, maybe they get to symbiose with rhizobia. Kind of a trifecta there, if you're a legume. So the hunt goes on to try to find a way to put nitroplasts potentially into plants, or getting cereal crops to symbiose with microbes. We'll see. All of these problems could be solved if people just enjoyed beans more. You can survive indefinitely off of just beans. They have everything you need. Don't just eat beans. I'm not providing dietary advice.